Welcome to you today, and I would love to introduce to you my friend Erica Regis-Williams. Erica is from Bournemouth in the UK, and she is an intuitive healer and wholeness mentor. In a minute, I'll hand over to Erica to tell us what she does and how she can help you. But in the meantime, my first question of Erica actually is, can you tell us, Erica, something which is of inspiration to you at the moment in your life?
Yeah, hi Liz, and thank you so much. Something that is of inspiration to me right now, I'm going to go with my husband. My entry into the corporate world was at the age of 19, and I met him the first day that I started my work there. This guy is my love, and boy does he push me to my limits and my in terms of creating new boundaries, in terms of revealing more of who I am. He's a mirror reflection for me, and so much of what I see in him I've learned to recognize is actually within me. So that stuff where I might want to point the finger, there's three fingers pointing back. Married for 13 years, approaching our marriage in that way of recognizing that he is this mirror for me really does keep me on my toes, really does keep me expanding and growing into more of who I came here to be. What I've really noticed over the last 3 or 4 weeks is where I have shifted and stepped somewhere new, where my old ways of being that prevented me from receiving love in the way that I know I'm here to do have fallen away, and in the reflection of him, I'm seeing those old patterns and old ways of being showing themselves to me. And I think in relationship, a lot of time we get lost in thinking that the problem is with the other person, and if the other person just changed how they showed up, if the other person just cared more about how I felt, or whatever that story is that we've got going on, then everything would be okay. But what I truly know with all of my being is that it's always an internal cause, external effect. And when we shift what's occurring on the inside, the outside changes. And so the last few weeks have been quite intense, where I have shifted, but I'm still playing out in many ways that relationship that looks and feels like who I used to be and not who I am now. And there's a guy that I follow that I absolutely love. His name is Preston Smiles, and he said about his wife, he was like, the minute that I feel that I know who my partner is, the relationship is dead, because there's no space there for the new, there's no space there for infinite possibilities. And I think that my husband and I got into a bit of a groove and a rut of thinking that we knew who each other was, but I'm devoted to expansion and creation on all levels, so I'm constantly evolving, and I get to remember that he is too. And whilst his journey might look different to mine, we are the human species and we're ever evolving, and so there is always that shifting and changing and growing that is occurring. So it was a really beautiful opportunity for me to reconnect back to some feelings of unworthiness that rose, that I'd not felt for quite some time, and to remember that unworthiness is just the invitation to awaken more appreciation for what is. And the insecurity being about devotion, so kind of really anchoring in my belief and reigniting the vision for our union, our partnership, and where we want to go with that, and the direction in which we want to move as a unit. I think we kind of had fallen into some old trappings that used to occur in the old days, of being so focused on our careers that we'd stop making each other the priority. And energy goes where intention flows, and what we appreciate appreciates. And so I'm brought back to the deep appreciation that I have for my love and all of his gifts and the magic that he is, and how amazing it is just to be able to do this life journey with the person that I know I'm meant to spend the rest of my life with. I'm deeply appreciative of that.
Let's move on to your work and what you do for people, and actually how it makes you feel when you have success with a client, or you see a client have their own success.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I am an intuitive healer and wholeness mentor. And I support women in reawakening the true essence of who they are, the gifts that are contained in those denied, abandoned, rejected, suppressed aspects of self, those bits that we'd rather not acknowledge about ourselves, the bits that we see in others that we don't like, that are firmly within us. In there is some gold that reignites us back to our sovereignty, back into our inner authority, back into being able to lead ourselves and therefore others in the highest of integrity. And I work primarily with four of our bodies. So on the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and then the soul self, or the higher self, whatever you'd like to call that, and bringing alignment to all of those bodies. And we do that through a deeper sense of self-awareness, through radical responsibility. So recognizing that I am the creator of my experience and taking full ownership and responsibility for that, and then aligned action from that space. All of those bodies embraced and integrated, and therefore moving from that space. I've created a modality that supports that and supports women. If I was to kind of summarize it in a few ways, I would be talking about women having a deeper sense of trust for themselves and their inner knowing, and being able to move from that space, a deeper sense of self-worth and value, and feeling this sense of wholeness, not seeking outside of them for that which has always been inside. So how does that make me feel? Oh God, deeply, deeply fulfilled. There is a replenishment that comes from doing the work that you love and doing it in full integrity, and being able to share from the heart is so deeply fulfilling. I feel so blessed to do the work that I do. It feels like liberation. Don't get me started on the emotions, because emotions are totally my jam and I could go on about that for ages. But that to me, it feels like, in many ways, I know that I've become the person that I would have wanted years ago. And I serve from that space. And to witness the women that I work with creating the relationships that they create in their life, the passion and the love and the fulfillment that they're having from the work that they're putting out into the world. Like, this is what the world wants, right? It wants people who are deeply fulfilled and passionate about what they do and are living from this space. There could never be enough joy, and we get to have more joy in our life. And that's the fuel, I think, behind that is the fuel behind the work that I do.
Erica, you mentioned 4 bodies, and so clearly there's been some journeying on your part to get to this position of expert. Can you perhaps tell us a little about that?
Oh yeah, in 2009, I left the corporate world. I had found yoga as a way to reconnect with myself and had completely fallen in love with it, and quit my job. Same day I did that, found out I was pregnant with my second son, and made that choice to say, okay, I'm going to enjoy this pregnancy at home, and I'm going to devote myself to this passion that I'd found, which was yoga. And yoga brought me deeper awareness of my physical body, of the need to fill my cup up first in order to be able to serve at my fullest capacity. And that I was worthy in some ways of having something that was just for me and taking the time to do that. So that really brought me into my physical body. And then my journey then became about my mental body. I'd spent the majority of my life kind of tapped out emotionally. I lived in a space of overwhelm or anxiety or just numbness, kind of just this base level place. And kind of just going through the motions of life, and suddenly I realized that there was more. But in coming into my body, oh my gosh, did I really realize how much I was in my head and how much my head and my mental well-being had to say. And so I embarked on a journey into revealing the limiting beliefs that I hold, the patterns and behaviors that I have, the word that I was saying to myself and the things that I was saying to myself, and the beliefs that I was holding based on my conditioning from my family and society, and most of it wasn't even mine. And that that was my first real step into sovereignty, into taking that inner authority over my life. I have a choice. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The great Dr. Wayne Dyer says. And that was really going from kind of feeling very trapped, very suppressed, very feeling like there was no choice in life to, I have free will. There's always a choice. And so that was my next step, was into the mind. And then from the mind, I went into my womb space, reconnecting back to my femininity, connecting back to this amazing portal that we have where we create and give birth to life. And that doesn't just pertain to having a baby. That is everything. Every creation, every idea that we want to bring into form, it happens in this area. And I would spend 2 weeks of my menstrual cycle just being completely crazy lady, and that brought me into the emotions. And the emotions are really where I just feel like I truly come alive. It's my greatest passion, because our emotions are our energy in motion. They are the energy that is creating everything that we're seeing in our lives. And so often we suppress them, we deny them, we numb them with food or distraction of TV and all of those things, and we're not aware that we hold this creative life force inside of us to literally create our reality. And the emotions are the gateway to that. So my deep passion is in this self-awareness of what we're feeling emotionally, creating safe space to allow ourselves to be able to feel that, and providing the tools to be able to navigate those emotions and to alchemize them, to transform them into something that is our deepest gifts. And then comes, our soul body, that our higher perspective, our God self, if you like, that part of us that is all-knowing and infinite and limitless and holds all the answers to every question that we ever wanted to seek, if we just allow ourselves to attune inwards and receive that. And for me, the combination of bringing all of those bodies into wholeness, remembering the truth of who we are, all of us, not just the shiny bits that we think that people want to see, but also the dark and dirty bits, is really the key to living a fulfilled and happy life, is coming from this space of wholeness. And when we can accept ourselves in our wholeness, we're able to accept others in their wholeness. And that, I feel, is where that's the change that I wish to see in the world, is that people meet each other where they are, exactly as they are. Judgment has created a lot of chaos in our world, a lot of corruption in our world, and truly love and compassion, I believe, are the gifts that our world is calling out for.
Why this community? Why have you committed to being a contributing founding member? What is it that you see?
So I believe that we get to start with self first and then extend and ripple that out. And there's a couple of aspects. First of all, there's a little girl who lives inside of me that was very prevalent when I was in the corporate world. She never felt that she was good enough. She never felt that she deserved a seat at the table. And so she spent her entire working career efforting, forcing, trying to prove herself and do it like a dude does. And there is a deep sense of knowing within me that many women are operating in this way and compromising their own joy in the process. And I have gained too much wisdom and experience now to not want to share that with others. So that's like my personal, purely selfish, but completely selfless reasons. That's my first reason. The second is Liz has painted a picture. I'm pretty sure that everyone has said, I joined because of Liz. Like, Liz is just the most phenomenal woman. And for me, what she did was she painted a picture, she set a vision that touched on everything that I believe we get to be, which is collaborative and co-creative and heart-centered and in full service. And that actually when we move from that space, miracles are created. And that's the energy that I just know is going to be of benefit to our members here. You know, it can feel so lonely when you're climbing the corporate ladder, when you're, you know, it can feel really lonely. You can feel very on your own. And to offer something where you get to be part of something greater is really one of the foundational reasons of why we're here. And the last reason that I would say is that whilst there was a lot of good that came from my corporate career, the heart and service seemed to be the thing that was missing. The focus became more and more and more about the bottom line. And that's fine, but I don't believe that it has to be an either or scenario. I believe that it can be both. I believe that we can have a focus and a commitment to the bottom line, and we can be heart-centered and service-led. And it can be both of those things. It can be all of it. It can be wholeness. And the circulation of money in women's hands is where I believe we're going. I believe that the Dalai Lama said that the Western world will be saved by the Western woman, right? The world will be saved by the Western woman. And I truly believe that. It's like when we claim that inner authority within ourselves, when we remember that we are sovereign beings, that we are infinite and limitless in our ability to create whatever it is that we desire, and we are worthy of that, we stop proving ourselves and we just start being. And we start being our natural, nurturing, loving selves. And that's what industry needs to see. That's what commerce needs to see. That's what the world needs to see. And it's...
Well, I, for one, am so glad that you've joined our community, and I would like for you to tell people what it is that you intend to bring in at a practical level, things that people can hope to see from you.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited that we are going to be launching a podcast, a weekly podcast. So during that podcast, I will be speaking about all things womb wisdom, the menstrual cycle, emotional intelligence, and the way that I tend to teach, if you like, is through story. So you'll get some real insight into me and what's moving through my life, and through that you'll have the opportunity to be able to see the reflection of what's showing up in your life. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm sure you'll see some written articles from me and collaboration with the other contributors that are coming along, and whatever else is current. Like, it just, the possibilities are endless. And I'm really looking forward to exploring this and providing you with some really great content and values, some things that are practical, but probably a little more out there than you may be used to, that you can put into practice in your life. I'm a real big believer that it's often referred to as the comfort zone or the courage zone. You know, when we meet those edges and we start to touch into new places in our being, that's where the real magic is. That's where the good stuff really begins to happen. So I'm an advocate for saying, come on, let's go this way and do something slightly different to the norm. So yeah, that's what you can expect from me. And I trust that will be of great service to you.
Well, I think it will be a fantastic service. I'm looking forward to seeing lots of the good stuff from you. And I very much appreciate you coming on and spending time today to let us know a little about you and what you do. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And we will see more of you soon.
Take care. Look forward to seeing you all in the membership portal.